Hi, this is Ridea keeping it real, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. We are reading the proverb of the day, and today is October the 27th, so we're reading Proverb 27. And when I look at the King James Version for this chapter, it titles it Observations about Life. So here we go. Proverbs 27. Never boast about tomorrow. You don't know what will happen between now and then. Let other people praise you, even strangers. Never do it yourself. The weight of stone and sand is nothing compared to the trouble that stupidity can cause. Anger is cruel and destructive, but it is nothing compared to jealousy. Better to correct someone openly than to let him think you don't care for him at all. A friend means well, even when he hurts you. But when an enemy puts his arm around your shoulder, watch out. When you are full, you will refuse honey. But when you are hungry, even bitter food tastes sweet. A man away from home is like a bird away from its nest. Perfume and fragrant oils make you feel happy, make you feel happier. But trouble shatters your peace of mind. Do not forget your friends or your father's friends. If you're in trouble, don't ask your brother for help. A nearby neighbor can help you more than a brother who is far away. Be wise, son, and I will be happy. I will have an answer for anyone who criticizes me. Sensible people will see trouble coming and avoid it, but an unthinking person will walk right into it and regret it later. Anyone stupid enough to promise to be responsible for a stranger's debts deserves to have his own property held to guarantee payment. You might as well curse your friend as wake him up early in the morning with a loud greeting. A nagging wife is like water going drip, drip, drip on a rainy day. How can you keep her quiet? Have you ever tried to stop the wind or ever tried to hold a handful of oil? People learn from one another, just as iron sharpens iron. Take care of a fig tree, and you have figs to eat. A servant who takes care of his master will be honored. It is your own face that you see reflected in the water, and it is your own self that you see in your heart. Human desires are like the world of the dead. There's always room for more. Fire tests gold and silver. A person's reputation can also be tested. Even if you beat a fool half to death, you still can't beat his foolishness out of him. Look after your sheep and cattle as carefully as you can, because wealth is not permanent. Not even nations last forever. You cut the hay and then cut the grass on the hillsides while the next crop of hay is growing. You can make clothes from the wool of your sheep and buy land with the money you get from selling some of your goats. The rest of the goats will provide milk for you and your family and for your servant girls as well. There we go. That was chapter 27, and it's right at the 4-minute mark. So it doesn't take long to read these proverbs, but it's a wealth of little information in bite-sized pieces. So let's go ahead and get started coloring the pictures. So 27:9 says, perfume and fragrant oils make you feel happier, but trouble shatters your peace of mind. Okay, I don't know. I mean, that's a picture, but I don't know if it really speaks to the verse. But he's happy. The person's happy. You know, and that in to me, what I'm learning with these proverbs is that they keep repeating themselves, and it's almost like they keep repeating themselves so you can remember it. You can remember what it say, because it comes back up again. Like, this is probably the fourth or fifth time it's talked about a nagging wife and what a nagging wife is like to a man. It keeps bringing these things back up. That's interesting. I never really paid that much of attention until I started reading it like this, out of the this Bible. We're reading it out of the Good News Bible, where it's kind of easy to understand what it's saying, right? Let's see. We're going to paint his hair. I'm going to paint his hair. I'll paint it yellow. Okay. That's that one. All right. The next verse. This is an interesting verse to me. 27:18. It says, "Take care of a fig tree, and you will have figs to eat. A servant who takes care of his master will be honored." And I had to look this one up in the King James. And what the King James says is 27:18. It says, "Whosoever keepeth the fig tree shall eat the fruit thereof. So he that waiteth on his master shall be honored." And when I first read that, it just took me back to like high school, and mostly like by the time I was in high school, but throughout all school. You remember how when they used to read about European history, American history, and it would always talk about slavery. The more time went on, the less it talked about slavery. But there was a time when it was, they talked about it. And you learn, somewhere along the line, you learned that you were supposed to be less than. You were supposed to be less than, according to the structure of the caste system you were living in, that your white classmates were better than you. I never believed that. It didn't bear out to me. And it was always confusing to me, like, well, why do you think that? But when they would talk about slavery, I had to say, okay, so I would think my people were enslaved. I never really thought your people enslaved my people, right? But when you flip it, it's like, who really should be ashamed? For real. And then I think, well, this verse is also a future verse too, right? Where there is God's chosen people who will have people serving them. So this is not just a past verse. This is a future verse. This is a future proverb to keep in mind. So verse 27:23. "Look after your sheep and cattle as carefully as you can, because wealth is not permanent." Okay. So basically, look after what you have. You might have it today, but that don't mean you're going to have it tomorrow. And people are finding that out. Right? People are finding that out. Especially people who are used to having. Like, you could be used to having, but that does not mean you're going to keep it. And things are changing so rapidly, people are finding that out the hard way. Where it never was a problem for certain people. They had a job, they had a good job, they could go on vacation, no problem buying food, all of that. Not so much anymore. So this is saying, take care of what you have. Save your money if you can, because you just don't know what the future holds. So that was Proverb 27. Like I said, they don't take very long to read. And we are going to close out here. So until next time, it's Ridea keeping it real.